Title: The Dead Frequency. It began as a sound no one could quite describe. A low, vibrating hum that rolled through the valley every night at exactly 3:03 a.m. It wasn't loud enough to wake you outright, but it burrowed into your dreams, twisting them into restless whispers. The first time it happened, people thought it was just the wind. But then came the second night and the third, and soon the entire town of Hollow Creek was hearing it. A deep, pulsing tone that seemed to come from everywhere: the forest, the earth, the sky. After a week, the animals started acting strange. Dogs refused to go outside after sundown, staring at the door with wide, trembling eyes. Birds vanished from the trees, and the few that remained sat perfectly still on power lines, heads tilted, beaks slightly open as if listening. Then came the smell. It drifted through town on the seventh night, metallic, sweet, and rotten like blood and rust soaked into wet soil. No one could find the source, but it clung to the air and to the people. The next morning, Sheriff Daryl Knox got the call. They'd found a body out near the old cemetery road. The victim was Harold Wren, the mailman. He'd been seen alive just yesterday, smiling and handing out packages like always. But now his skin was pale and gray, his fingernails caked with dirt. His mouth hung open, his tongue blackened. He looked dug up. The town doctor couldn't explain it. "It's like he's been dead for weeks," she said quietly. But that's impossible. That night the hum grew louder. Power lines snapped and sparked. Radios flickered on by themselves, their dials spinning even when unplugged. And beneath the static, people began to hear something else, a voice. Soft at first, almost a whisper. It said names, real names, of the living. By midnight, everyone in Hollow Creek was awake. Windows rattled. Lights flickered in stuttering patterns that almost looked deliberate, like code. The hum vibrated through the ground, shaking glasses from shelves. Somewhere in the forest, something was moving, slowly. When the power finally went out, the world went dark. But the sound didn't stop. It became clearer. Sheriff Knox drove to the cemetery with a few deputies, their flashlights cutting through fog thick as breath. When they reached the gates, their beams caught freshly turned earth. Not one grave, but dozens. The soil was broken, clawed from the inside. Then a voice crackled through the sheriff's radio, even though it was off. "Daryl Knox," he froze. The voice came again, warped and low, but it was his own voice. "Don't run." From the tree line came movement. Slow figures stepping through fog, faces half decayed, eyes pale and unfocused. One still wore a mailman's uniform. They didn't groan. They didn't stagger. They moved with a calm, eerie precision, drawn toward the sound echoing from the town's old church bell tower. By the time Knox returned to town, half the doors were open and the streets were empty. A radio sat buzzing on a front porch, whispering through static. The frequency spreads. The dead awaken. The living tune in, desperate. Knox barricaded himself inside the church with a few survivors. The building shook as the hum grew deafening. The floorboards trembled beneath their feet. Then from the back of the church came laughter, a high, broken giggle. It was Mrs. Wren, Harold's wife. Her skin was pale, her neck slumped to one side as if the bones had melted. "They're calling us home," she whispered, her voice crackling with static. The bell in the tower rang, no one pulled the rope. The vibration spread through the church walls like a pulse. Windows shattered. And outside, the dead began to move faster, closing in from every direction. Knox tried the radio one last time. All he heard was breathing. Then his own voice repeated back, "You're already tuned in." The last record of that night was a 15-second clip from a trucker S-dash cam as he passed Hollow Creek. The town was dark, every window black except for the church tower. The bell was still ringing. And through the static of his radio, the trucker swore he heard voices, the whispering names he didn't recognize. By morning, Hollow Creek was gone. No bodies, no noise. No home. Only the faint smell of iron on the wind. They say if you drive through that valley at 3:03 a.m., your radio will flicker to life. No matter if it's off, and through the static, you'll hear a single sentence repeated softly. "The dead are listening.